this is like a criticism that we have for sort of a lot of like modern movies, where you have sort of these new writers, new directors sort of working on older IP and adding their own kind of like spin to it and their own interpretations. And it's quite often the case that they don't really understand or appreciate what was set up initially, and then they just want to sort of kind of add their, and there's nothing wrong with adding your own flavor to it, but quite often when they're adding their own flavor to it, it's in disservice to what came before, essentially. So this is an example of someone coming in, seeing someone's work, appreciating it, and actually building upon it and adding more value to it.
Adding to it as opposed to subtracting from it.
Yeah.
I think this movie is like the master class in how to do a sequel, in my opinion. Like, it really expands the mythos, right, of the original, and it does. I don't think it contradicts anything that the first one says, but it kind of zooms out, right? It makes the world bigger. It makes the aliens more complete. We're not just seeing one. We're seeing an entire colony. And I think that really helps with the problem of being a sequel, right? Because the obvious thing to do would have been Ripley gets to safety, and then she joins another crew, and then that crew gets killed by an alien again, and then she fights them again, right? That would be the obvious thing to do. That's what just about every franchise would do, right? And the fact that they just completely changed the story here and just move forward and go into an entirely different genre with a very different tone. Yeah, for me, this is a borderline perfect movie. Like, it does everything that a sequel is supposed to do. It builds on the mythos that came before without invalidating any of it. It makes the universe bigger. It makes the characters more well-rounded. It moves the story forward instead of just being the same thing again. Like, in my view, if you're a filmmaker or a writer and you're trying to do a sequel, do it like Aliens did.
Literally just took the last point there. I was going to say this movie is literally the blueprint of how to do a sequel, essentially, and how to sort of move your story forward in sort of a meaningful way, and sort of adding again like adding to the lore and sort of adding to the mythology of it, and just sort of just taking your characters on a really good journey. And it's not even just about how to do sequel. It's how to do a female protagonist. It's how to sort of how to add sort of themes and sort of and all that stuff within sort of the movie as well, without kind of like being overwhelming. There's like so much that this movie does right that has been lost in modern cinema. So I feel like people need to go back to.
And you would think, in a world in which people are doing nothing but sequels, you would think they would have learned this.
Yeah.
They did this crazy thing where they just tried to find somebody who looked at the first movie and said, I have an idea for where the story goes next. And then they hired that person and let them do it.
Yeah.
Crazy.